I'll be demonstrating the use of the BASI rotating disc electrode voltammetric analyzer. Here in this box we have the voltammetric analyzer, and here we have the rotating disc electrode stand. So what I will go through in general is basically how to set up an experiment and run a voltammetric measurement using this device. The first thing that you will need to do is to make sure that the voltammetric analyzer and the rotating disc electrode stand are turned on, as well as the nitrogen supply that is next to the computer. The first thing we will need to do is to fill the sample container with your sample solution. Here I will use distilled water in order to illustrate the principle. So when you fill this, fill it about 1 centimeter below the top of the vial. Once you have done this, you can set this on the sample stand. Here in the back of this holder is a set screw which you can gently loosen and lower the Teflon cap onto the sample container. Now that the Teflon cap has been lowered, you can gently tighten the set screw. Here we will take the nitrogen purging line and lower it to the bottom of the solution. Once the line has been lowered to the bottom of the solution, you can turn the nitrogen flow on and slowly open the nitrogen valve. Once the nitrogen valve has been opened sufficiently, you will see the bubbles of nitrogen in the solution. This is used to purge any air that's dissolved in the solution and replace it with nitrogen. The next thing we will need to do is to prepare the reference electrode, so you can remove it from its sample holder and then gently rinse it with deionized water. The next thing we will do is gently dry off the reference electrode with a CHEM wipe. Be careful not to push too hard on the end of the electrode. This electrode can then be placed in the left-hand side of this cell. After this, we can then make electrical connection to the reference electrode using the white wire. The next electrode we will put in is the auxiliary electrode, which is a platinum coiled wire. This as well, you need to rinse off sufficiently and dry with a CHEM wipe before you place it in the electrochemical cell. Now that this is in the cell, you can also make electrical connection with this using the red wire. So while preparing the working electrode, we will wet the microfiber pad with deionized water. We can then shake the polishing alumina suspension and place 1 drop of it on the polishing pad. After the drop's been placed on the polishing pad, we then can polish the working electrode. Be sure to keep the working electrode perpendicular to the polishing pad and move it in a figure 8 pattern, while being sure to rotate the electrode in your fingers. Continue to polish the electrode gently for 30 seconds to 1 minute. Once the electrode is sufficiently polished, water should bead on the end of the glassy carbon disc. We can then rinse it with the deionized water. After rinsing it, again gently dry the surface with a CHEM wipe by gently tapping the end of the electrode with the CHEM wipe. Now that the working electrode has been polished and is clean, we can thread it on to the rotating disc electrode stand. Be sure not to over-tighten the working electrode onto the stand. Now that the working electrode is placed on the stand, we can rotate the working electrode down towards the electrochemical cell, positioning it above the hole in the Teflon holder. We can then loosen the set screw at the top of the instrument and slowly lower the working electrode into the sample solution. Once the working electrode is 1 centimeter below the sample solution, we can then tighten the set screw gently. Now that the 3 electrodes have been placed in the electrochemical cell, we will allow the purging to continue for 4 to 5 minutes. Once the purging time is completed, we can reduce the nitrogen flow and pull the nitrogen tube above the surface of the liquid in order not to disturb it, but to keep a blanket of nitrogen on top of the solution. And this completes the setup of the electrochemical cell. Now that we have assembled the electrochemical cell and purged our sample solution for a sufficient amount of time, we can then begin to develop the method in the software. So here I will go to Method, select Mode. Here we can then choose stripping techniques and linear sweep stripping voltammetry. After selecting these two techniques, we can click OK. After this, it'll bring up the linear sweep stripping voltammetry general parameters. Here you can input the initial voltage, final voltage, as well as scan rate, sensitivity, and deposit time. In addition, we can click Specific. This will allow us to select the sample interval and also the quiet time for the measurement. After you have input all of the general and specific parameters, you can click OK. The software is now set up to be able to run your measurement. In order to start your measurement, we can move to Control and then click Start Run. Once your data has been acquired, be sure to click File, Save Data, and save it as a .bin file in your desired location. Once your file has been saved as a .bin file, go back to File, Convert Files, select your desired file, and click OK. This will convert your data to a text file that is then able to be exported to Excel.